What's up, everyone? London MX here at the shop, garage, whatever. Today we're working on one of those brand new bikes that you just gotta fall in love with, the 2017 Honda CRF 450R, and we're gonna be putting in one of the brand new Core or Recluse Core EXP 3.0 clutches. By far the best clutch you could buy on the market. State-of-the-art auto clutch with the torque drive feature. Awesome thing to have. I already got the bike tore down, so you can see that's about as much of a teardown as we need to get to at this point. Just the 8mm head bolts, you gotta take all those out, get the cover off. If you got the Core EXP 3.0 kit, it comes with everything: the cover, O-ring for the seal, springs, pressure plate, I mean everything. So it's a rad kit. I can't wait to try this thing and get it tuned in for my buddy. But anyways, let's get started. Make sure before you get too far into this, you give your plates at least an hour to sit in some oil. Excuse me. Give your plates an hour to soak in some oil, and then you could start the assembly process. So get your gloves on. Let's get going. Okay, so now we need to get in here and push down. There will be one of the tangs will be folded over against the nut. Use a flat blade screwdriver and a little hammer to push that thing back over. And then we want to get to the 27mm nut here and take that off so we can get this inner hub assembly out. Got the auto clutch soaking in oil. Kit's really cool. It utilizes the stock clutch plates with this, so keep your stock clutch plates clean in a safe place where they're not going to get any dirt. And then take this center hub out, put the new hub in, and we'll get back to it here after I get this hub out. Okay, we got our center hub taken out. Now from here, you want to make sure that the bigger part, one sec here. There's a washer that's on the back side of the hub that goes in between the basket and the center hub, and you want to make sure that that stays on there. This one's sucked to the back side of the center hub, so you want to make sure you don't forget that, because if you do forget this, the center hub is going to grind all against in here, and it creates a lot of engine shavings and can cause big disastrous harm to your motor. So definitely want to make sure you don't forget that. And then after you get that in, then you want to go ahead and take your supplied Recluse center hub here, and what we're going to do is just kind of align the notches here. It doesn't have to be aligned on a certain tooth particularly. You just have to keep kind of messing with it here, and when it finds it, it'll drop in just like that. Now you could go about this next part two different ways. If you have a clutch holding plier or a clutch holding hub tool, then just go ahead and install your nut now. And if not, then you want to, if you don't have them, then go ahead and install your plates. And with the Recluse, they give you a stack of drive plates here. Now you'll notice that one of them is just thinner than the others, and it's this one on the very outside. I don't know if you could see that, but you want to take that thinner one first and get that guy in there. So that's the most important. The stock hubs and stock clutches, they require friction first. Recluse does not. They actually want their patented drive plate put in first, and then we can start taking our OEM friction plates here and then start going in order. Of course, if you bought a Recluse manual, it comes with instructions, or excuse me, if you bought a Recluse clutch kit, it comes with instructions, and it'll show you exactly the order that it needs to be put into. Also show you the foot-pounds that you need to torque the nut, which is very important. This one's 50 foot-pounds or 70 Newton meters. That's going to be the center clutch hub nut torque, and that's when it's really important to have a holding device for the hub. And so we're going to go ahead and just start stacking here, and yeah, can't wait to get this thing going. In this next part here, you want to make sure to, if you don't have a proper holding tool, you can start by putting all the discs and drive plates inside the clutch, and that will help aid in dragging the unit down a little bit so you can torque this center nut here. In this case, though, I have a basket holding tool. This one's made by Tusk. You can get it from Rocky Mountain ATVMC.com. So start just by threading this by hand first, so you don't cross thread, as that would just destroy the shaft and create more problems. Also, the tab, it has a couple of lining tabs on the back, and you want those to fall into the dimples on the clutch hub, and that will properly hold the washer, so when you torque it, it doesn't turn, and also it keeps that nut from spinning. So you just want to make sure that you have everything seated, and then I'm going to go ahead and get this thing torqued down. And right now, just making sure that that's anchored against the brake lever. This was at 50 foot-pounds or 70 Newton meters here. It wasn't a 27 millimeter socket, so I had to change. It didn't say on here, but I ended up finding out it was a 30 or a 32 millimeter socket to tighten the new Tusk, or I keep saying Tusk, the new Recluse nut, which is larger than the stock one. So in my box here of drive sockets, I try a 30 first. 30 is not it. And I reach over, and I'm glad it was a 32, because the 32 is the biggest one I have. And that one fit perfect. So, and stovepipe, just like that. Got it torqued down 50 foot-pounds, folded over the tang. I usually find it best to actually use a pair of channel locks, where you can grab the tab and take out the throw out here in the middle, and just grab that and then squeeze, pull over that tab. It's a lot better than trying to fit a punch in there and punch that thing over, and it's a lot better because it makes it a nice tight fit. So now that we got our basket or our hub torqued down, we can remove the hub holding tool, and now we can start our assembly. We already have the first drive plate back in there. Still feels perfect. There's no drag. So we want to go ahead, take our first friction plate, start stacking. So I'm going to put the camera down. We're going to get these things stacked, and then yeah, continue from there. Okay, we got all of our frictions and steels in, and you should end on a steel drive plate. Now it's time to go ahead and take your auto drive assembly and fit that in there, just like so. Man, that thing's pretty, huh? I'm going to dry off my hand. Then from here, we want to take the supplied pressure plate by Recluse. You want to make sure that there's another drive plate, but it's only fitted to fit in the slots on this thing here. So you want to make sure that that is fitted properly, like that. And sorry, trying to see what I do at the same time doing it, just like that. Boom. So now we want to install our supplied bolt kit for the pressure plate. So we just want to softly install these to start with here, because we got to start the adjustment on our auto drive here. Okay, and just like that, she's installed. Make sure you torque these Allen heads right here to 9 foot-pounds, and not an ounce more and not an ounce less. You want these at 9 exactly. That's what they recommend. I am opting for the external adjuster, which I think is just an awesome feature, and I'm really stoked that they came out with this. They give you an option of internal adjustment or external adjustment. This is the internal adjuster, and for reference, the internal is 116, looks like 809B, and that's going to be for internal adjustment. The difference is this one allows you to adjust the free play at the lever, and then the other one allows you to adjust it internally here. And then so if you need to make any further changes in the future, you have to pull the clutch cover off, and then you loosen these set screws, and then you add usually a tick or two on these marks. But this one has no adjuster, so you just leave it bottomed out against the pressure plate. Make sure your retaining locks are locked down, and then you have to make sure too that you're after you get it torqued down and everything, at the lever up there you have no free play, that the cable's tight. And it's just a way easier way of setting a clutch, and I think it's just awesome that Recluse did this. So I'm going to put the cover on, and then we're going to start working on setting the free play. I'm really excited. Just like that, it is done. Wasn't that easy? You have to use the supplied rope O-ring, which just is a pain in the ass. You cannot use the stock O-ring seal for the cover because it is a little bit longer, and so they give you a rope O-ring seal where you have to cut it yourself. Just use a little bit of Moto Seal gasket maker, and try to cut it exact end to end. Butter it up so it stays in there, and it should work just fine for you. Now it's time to fire it up and check the free play and get this thing back on the dirt. So I started it, and no matter how tight of slack, I took in the slack all the way, making sure there's no slack at all on the cable, and I even went further, and putting it in gear, the bike still had drag. So what you want to do is come back, take off your cover. You might need to do this a couple of times to get it dialed, but get your Allen inside here, and I've already tightened mine a little bit. I'll loosen it to show you kind of like the process here. So right here it's backed out all the way, and so I'm going to go in till I feel it, which I'm feeling it right there. So there's no marker on this one, so I'm going to use this horizontal line right here as kind of my marker, and I'm going to go just a little bit further until this the pressure plate starts to move. So right there, it's like two clicks. I apologize for the focusing on this, or the lack of focusing on it. So I'm going to go just a little bit more until the friction plate or the pressure plate starts to move. Not yet. Should be very soon though. There it is. Okay. So now, right there, tells me that now my lever's loose up there. So I know for sure that if I tighten my slack on this, then it will start to dial in. So I almost went a full turn from here. Now I'm over here. So I'm going to take this to a full turn and just see where it gets me. It won't even let me. It won't even let me. So I'm gonna stop there. But at this point, the pressure plate's turning without turning the basket, so there's no drag. So I'm gonna lock down these two outer Allens right here, and I'm gonna put my clutch cover back on and go check it again. So I'm tightening the cable until there's no slack, or little slack, no slack. Alright, let's try that. Okay, so I can still feel a little bit of drag. When I put it in gear, it just wants to lurch a little bit, but that kind of stuff can be taken out at the cable right there. So that's what did it for me, just putting in that 4mm Allen and just turning it until that pressure plate in the front started to free up. And once it freed up, then I locked it down and then basically just set my feel. Yeah, I don't know if you saw, but I would rev it and the lever would come in, and that shows you that your installed gap is. So I probably just need to run a little bit more and it'll start to free up a little bit more. If it doesn't, then what I need to do is crack open that clutch cover, go in and just take it a little tick more, and then that should probably do it. But anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, I really appreciate it. Make sure and click that like button. That really helps me and helps me keep doing what I do for you guys, making these free videos. And subscribe. I got so much cool stuff coming up. Building a KLX 110. That's going to be a complete bottom to top rebuild. I got the bottom all done, so I'll save it for the top, putting the top back together. I found a 1989 KX 125 rolling chassis that I'm going to attempt to kind of restore and make it like a restore, cool, neat throwback bike. And that's all I got right now at the shop, garage, whatever. Thanks again, guys. Appreciate it. Have yourself a good day.